Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a zone 6A in mid-Michigan, and today is our day for our garden tour. It has been really nice actually this week. We got all the way up into the low 80s and today we're in the 70s. We were actually supposed to get some rain today, which would have been nice because we kind of need it, but it just blew north of us, so we didn't get any. But I enjoyed the nice, wonderful weather today. So let's take a look at what's going on in the garden because things have definitely changed since last week. So first, just looking out, you can see everything's really starting to green up and it's definitely looking good. We have some flowers on our thundercloud plum tree. We are starting to get some color on the redbud, and our neighbor's peach tree is blooming. So lots more color this week, lots more green for sure. Our 9-bark over here has definitely gotten quite a bit more color on it. Very glowing, and this is the Amber Jubilee. I did do a little bit of trimming on this just to keep it at a height at which I can keep it trimmed. We're starting to see some nice new growth on our hydrangea here. This is a strawberry Sunday hydrangea, a panicle hydrangea if you will, and we're getting some blooms now on the Virginia, you guys. These are really pretty. Definitely something that people don't always talk about is the Virginia bloom, but that's because the foliage is good pretty much year round, and the blooms are a little bit understated but still gorgeous and beckon in that spring color. We have another panicle hydrangea here putting on some growth, which is the Firelight Tidbit. So that one is a new one for the garden. It has not bloomed yet. I'm hoping maybe we'll see a couple of blooms this year. This garden bed, we're seeing some of the daffodils start to go over. I'm seeing some of the foxglove come up back here, but not a ton. So I don't know if we lost some this winter. That's a possibility, but I definitely need to clean up this bed a little bit. There's a little bit extra leaf debris. I may leave it and just mulch over the top of it. I haven't decided yet. It's not that thick, so it's quite possible that I could just keep it. You'll see we're starting to get lots of growth on the phlox here and the geraniums on either side of the garden shed doors. And our hyacinths are just starting to go over. We're losing some of the blooms at the top of them, but they still smell really wonderful. And just look at how much our Tianchen 7 sunflowers are leafing out now. It's just quintessential spring right now, just before May comes around. And look at this gorgeous view right here. This is the purple leaf thundercloud plum that we have, and it is beautifully starting to leaf out, but the blooms have been gorgeous and I've been enjoying them this whole week. Just right after our last garden tour, they started to bloom quite well. And again, the daffodils are still blooming over here. We've had some new ones come into bloom and some of the old ones are going out of bloom. And again, the Amber Jubilee 9-bark, we have another one of those over here. And I'm letting this one get taller because it's not so close to the house. So I'm just letting this one go for now and we'll see how that grows. It should get fairly tall. Some nice, beautiful leaves growing on our incredible hydrangeas, or these are actually Monrovia hydrangeas. And then we're starting to get blooms on these lungworts over here. Aren't those pretty? And let me show you the penny pink hellebores, which are now finally starting to bloom. Check it out. Aren't they pretty? I love these. They're so gorgeous. And they look great next to the pulmonaria. And some more daffodils that are getting ready to bloom. And then the bleeding hearts back behind them. We don't have real blooms yet, but you can just see them starting to form. Here's another penny pink hellebore. You can see this one's an even lighter color pink than the other one is. Just a lovely shade for the spring. Then we have the spot-on pulmonaria over here that has begun blooming. And it looks beautiful with the hellebores over here as well. And then we have the ground cover, which is vinca over here, that is blooming. And I get asked a lot about this and what it is. So it's vinca, and it can be very invasive, especially in our area anyways. I don't know about yours, but I just want to say that to make sure that I do. It does a really nice job of staying evergreen, and it has these beautiful blue flowers in the spring, but like I said, you really have to contain it or else it will take off and just cover your garden. Here's some bleeding hearts that are actually in bloom, coming into bloom here. And they look really pretty with those lungwort blooms right behind them, along with the hellebores over here. And just look how much the grass has come up since just the other day when we've been working in the garden. Isn't that amazing? Our Japanese maple over here is really starting to push leaf growth, as you can see. So I've just started to buy mulch, and I'm just starting to put it out. You'll see some of that out in the front garden that I've got done so far. I'm doing bags of mulch this year instead of having it delivered, so we'll see how that goes. I don't really like having to deal with the bags, but it is what it is. It looks like my rhododendron here is getting tipped over. I'm not sure what's happening. I think it's just so dry. I'm just gonna smush it down in there with my foot a bit. Hopefully that will help. That's one way to lose a plant. Okay, we're back in business now. Wow. Hopefully it's going to be okay, and we'll get some rain, and that will help to get it rooted in a little bit further. But you can see the soil is very dry on top right now. We got a lot of rain early, and then not much after that. Check out our pinka blue pulmonaria right now. Isn't that stunning? So many blooms. This is the earliest one to bloom of all of the ones that I have. So I highly recommend that if you're looking for some spring color. It's just a bouquet of blooms, and it's gotten bigger quite fast. I can actually divide it, and I've only had it for a couple years. Then you'll see we have some raspberry splash pulmonaria here. And some of that beautiful silvery foliage on the oak leaf hydrangeas coming out, along with the Brunnera here, which things are starting to look like actual plants and not just seedlings now. We're even getting leaves on this dogwood tree here, and it looks like we're going to get some blooms on that, so I'm excited to see how that blooms this year. It's only a couple of years old in the garden. The astilbe is now much easier to see this week. You can see how the growth is really picking up on that. And the flax all throughout the garden is doing well. I wasn't sure if this astilbe was going to come back. This is the dark side of the moon, but here it is. So I'm thrilled to see that it survived the winter and the transplanting I did last year. I had originally planted it in one place and it didn't do that great, so I moved it, and it seems to be doing better now. We're getting some buds on this Jacob's Ladder right here. So this should bloom soon, a nice beautiful blue color. And you'll see we've got some pink blooms on the lamium. That is a silver beacon, I believe. We'll just back up so you can see what this looks like. It's starting to look much greener as things really fill in and leaf out. The Queen of Hearts Brunnera is blooming. and it looks gorgeous. Just look at all those pretty forget-me-not-like blooms. Such a sweet, sweet color. And we have our curly fries hostas starting to come up all along the edge of this garden bed, along with, boy, what are these? The first frost? Is that what those are called, I think? I'm blanking on it right now. Autumn frost, that's what they're called, autumn frost. And more bleeding hearts that we have along here. This one's got a lot of blooms coming. And yes, I'm going to confirm that I will be pulling out this shrub seedling that we have here. It did not do well over the winter, and it looks like it will not be coming back in any way, shape, or form. So that's going to come out. I do have some beautiful new double daffodils that are blooming over here in this corner by our pieris. Aren't they gorgeous? I can't remember what this kind is called, but the colors are wonderful. These are from Color Blends catalog, so I'm sure you could find them pretty easily if you looked on that website. Lots of color, you guys. And again, here's our thundercloud plum over here, just doing really well. And you can see just how much things have changed since last week. It's really filling in. And look at this firelight hydrangea. This is a panicle hydrangea with lots of leaves coming out on it. Over here you can see we have our redbud, and we have lots of sedum coming up over here that are finally being left alone by the rabbits. These are nice little edger sedums that we have, and the rabbits are finally starting to leave alone the daylilies that are over here. So I think things are finally growing in enough that they have plenty of grass and other greens to fill them up. So they're not tearing up my garden quite as much. And we have some other panicle hydrangeas here that are leafing out. And the redbud is just starting to bloom here, but you can really tell that it's getting ready to bloom. Finally have a show on this guy. It's fantastic. So I grew this as a seedling from a neighbor's plant that drops seed every year, and I just transplanted a little volunteer, and now it's probably about 10 feet tall. So wonderful free plant. It will drop a lot of seedlings, so beware of that if you're looking at planting a red bud. You might have to pick seedlings out of the garden bed, but you know, I'd rather that than the honeysuckle bush that I have. So this Toscana barberry is just about completely leafed out and has some beautiful color on it, providing a really nice contrast to this false mophead cypress here. And again, I have some space where I took the butterfly bushes out, just because I don't like how long I have to wait for them to bloom in the spring. They just kind of look dead. So I think they're better for higher zones, honestly, if you're in zone 7 or above. We have some muscari that are starting to grow, or the grape hyacinth. And the heuchera are finally starting to really push out of their crowns. So even though the rabbits come through and eat them back, they do tend to leave enough of the crown that I get regrowth on them. So at least so far, that's been the case. Hopefully we do not get any frosts, because just look at the bud growth on this viburnum here. It's intense. And as it gets bigger, there's just more and more of them. And I love the growth habit and structure of this plant. It's just been really great. This is the opening day viburnum. And this is a type of viburnum that is not bothered by that viburnum beetle that I got on the other ones. So, real happy about that. Look forward to seeing more of that soon, hopefully in bloom. More muscari over here, going along the fountain garden bed, and I did get the cover off the fountain, so that's a step in the right direction here. You know, every year certain things take so long, and that's one of the things that I try to get done as soon as I can. And we're getting so close to the frost date, I don't think we're going to have any more freezes at least. So the spireas over here are leafing out. These are the superstar spireas. Beautiful dark color, very moody. And with this, this year, this mugo pine that I have, it's a dwarf mugo pine. I'm going to cut these candles off. So hopefully this weekend I can pinch those off so that I don't get a lot of new growth, because I'd like to keep it this size, you know, beneath the height of the fountain base, because I think it just shows it off better. Now I do have incredible hydrangeas over here in this garden bed, and they are just taking off like crazy. I have some pasque flowers that are getting ready to bloom. One over here that is in bloom. And some more that probably will come into bloom soon. And I'm starting to see growth on the salvia over here. So that's good. I do need to come through and clean that up. But it's looking great. And I have a little messy path over here that I haven't cleaned up yet, but I'm going to show you that we have some primroses blooming over here. Aren't those cute and pretty? So beautiful. How fun is that? Definitely a harbinger of spring. We have some over here as well. And phlox coming up. We've got lots of buds on the ajuga, or the chocolate chip bugleweed over here. So that should provide us with some blooms soon. Lots of people doing things like power washing and having their dogs out today. I hope that there's not too much background noise for you guys. I did get some mulch down over here in this garden bed, which looks pretty good. Tidied it up. It makes it so that you can hardly see the black pearl heucheras, but they are definitely putting on some new growth. And you can see this can-do hydrangea is putting on new growth right now, and it looks like some of the old wood is pushing new growth, which means we'll get some blooms off the old wood, and it does bloom on the new wood as well. Unfortunately this year the rabbits ate my clematis that climbs this fence. They chewed every single one of the stems off. So we're starting afresh down at the base here. You can see there are lots of new growth pushing up that I'll have to kind of try to work towards that trellis. Lots of nice new growth pushing on this Japanese maple, as well as on the quick fire hydrangea right here. And our forsythia is finally in bloom. So that's lovely and bright. And we have a few new daffodils coming over here, as well as the heuchera and the clematis putting on some nice growth. All right, let's take a look out in the front garden. So if you recall, last week we had no green growth on this burning bush, but it is just vibrant now, very green. And we've got lots of new growth happening on this viburnum. And you can see the buds even more prominently now happening. So this is like a snowball bush. Lots of beautiful big buds. So the bloom should be coming soon. I don't see any frost in the forecast. We'll see. So you can see in the distance my neighbor's redbud back there. That's where my redbud came from. And our crabapple tree is starting to bloom here. So it just blooms white, but it's really gorgeous. And I love when the petals even drop off because it makes a beautiful snowy white cover on the garden bed below. But it, along with all of the daffodils right now, are making for a very cheery border along the driveway. We have lots of different kinds of daffodils. This week, the new ones that are blooming are the thalia daffodils, or these white ones over here. And the spirea is still putting out some beautiful colorful growth with the barberries next to it. I'm thinking about pulling out this fescue grass that's along this border here because it's not doing very well. It just looks kind of dead, and it looks that way through the winter as well, and I don't like that look. So that may be coming out of the garden soon. But yeah, lots of cheer happening. We can see this spirea right here is starting to turn more gold than kind of that bronzy coppery color that it was with the new growth. I may even trim that back to be a little bit tighter growth. I'll have to be coming out to trim up the boxwood soon. Well, the weeping cherry is now pretty much out of bloom and putting on some nice new growth. And the barberries have all sorts of leaf action happening on them. We have some new daffodils that are coming up, including some early cheer ones that are right here that have yet to bloom, right in front of our little umbrella pine. We can see our alliums are starting to come up, the Allium carataviense right here. And you can tell that the rabbits have nibbled on them as well, unfortunately. I haven't done any spraying yet this year. I've gotten a lot of questions from people as to what I do use when I use something. And I use a product called Liquid Fence. I actually have done a video showing me with it spraying using my backpack sprayer, and just how I apply it and which plants I choose to apply it to, because I only apply it to those which are really not resistant to deer and rabbits. I don't apply it to everything because it is costly. So the weeping cherry does look beautiful anyways, even without its blooms. We have lots of alliums coming up underneath of it. The purple sensation alliums, that's what all of this greenery is around the base of that. And so we'll be seeing some blooms on that soon, as long as nothing eats them, of course. And then this viburnum right here, which is the wabi-sabi viburnum. And this one has a similar leaf texture to the opening day. So again, it's not susceptible to those viburnum beetles that we get, or at least it's resistant to them. And it has lots of buds as well. So it should be fun to see this one. This one grows rather low, and it has more of an open bloom. Not a snowball bloom. So up near the house is where I have done some mulching, and we'll come take a look at that right now. I definitely still need to clean up around my front porch area. All of the pots need to be cleaned out, but I did get the carex trimmed up here. So the carex are looking nice and tidy, and they're ready for the new growth. And we have some blooms that are just getting ready to start to open on this azalea here. Again, I'm hoping for some of that rain just to come through, maybe overnight. That would be great. But you can see how lovely everything is looking with the mulch. We have some of our wee hostas coming up here, as well as our phlox. All of the hellebores are still in bloom. In fact, the Molly's white is just starting to bloom. This one is a very late bloomer, along with the painted double one that is back behind it. We do have a can-do hosta back here that has some nice new growth on it. So hopefully that one has established some really good roots on it over the winter, and we'll get to see some blooms on it this year, because we didn't really have a lot last year. This is its first full year in the garden. You can see we do have some daffodils that are going over that I'll need to clean up. And we're getting ready to get some blooms on the Louisa crabapple over here. Just come show you how they look. They look really nice and dark right now as buds, and then they will become very light pink upon opening, which is a really cool transition to see. I do want to take this Gatsby Moon hydrangea out of this garden bed because it did get eaten by deer last year. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to put it. I might put it where I have that blue false cypress that died. That might be a good spot for it. So we will see. Lots of spring blooms, very cheery and colorful this week, and just happy to be out in the garden whenever I can be. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this garden tour, and we'll see you for the next one.